Good evening, this is Joseph and Schmoe RC. Quick look at the channel board. That is not what we'll be facing in this video, though. We will be looking at this. I'm going to start a video of taking this apart. See how this goes. Do the best that I can. These are tiny little Phillips heads. So, get a little screwdriver here with a little Phillips head on there and start taking some screws off, basically. It's as easy as it gets, huh? When you're in a takedown process of something, it's easy, but I'm glad I'm doing the video. I learned something from watching Dr. Epileptic Heart's videos and his build series. It's good to have a video to see how to put things together. I have not seen anybody do a video of taking the Mastadon apart. Maybe that's up on YouTube, but I just can't find it yet, but I haven't found one. So it is good for me to do, at least for no other reason, a video diary of what screw went where. And, you know, what it looked like before I started. So I know how to put it back together. Alright, started off, I have a clicking noise in here, and I think it might be in a diff. I'm very confident that's where it is. First thing I want to do is disconnect the battery. Yeah. Spin this around so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to try to keep my hands out of the way as much as possible. Yeah, I definitely want to disconnect that battery. Since I have a screwdriver on me, keep my thumbs down there for that little body clip. Sometimes a little pain, so I'll take that off. The other body clips are inside their shock towers, so I don't lose them. This little body clip I'll just put in the back of the truck bed. Alright. Battery tray is kind of I already know where it goes, so it's no problem to put that also in the back of that truck. Take this battery out. I'm going to put it to the side over here with the tools. This is the bad battery. It's not, like, every time I charge it I can't get it to do anything. This one right here. So, and it's got these little I get on a miniature Tamiya plug kind of type deals. So I don't know what I'm going to do about batteries for this one. I've still got to figure that out. But I do want at least 2 or 3 working batteries. And I would like to get something that's at least 1200 milliamp hours, not just 800. Just not enough run time. It's like, what, 8 minutes? It's almost like you get a minute per 100 milliamps or something. Not sure if that's an exact thing, but that's what it feels like. But okay. Now that that's off, and next thing would probably be taking the tires off, get them out of the way. Usually when I deal with the 10 scales, when you're dealing with the T-wrench, you use the bigger side. What I found with my little 18 scale iron track vehicles, it's usually the one on the directly opposite side of it that I'm going to be using. I think they say it's a 5.5 if you can read that. I don't know if that's going to focus or not. Let me put my hand behind it. Maybe it'll focus. As Chief Firewolf says, focus. There we go. Alright. Gonna put it in the wheel. Spin it off. I don't turn these bad boys down too hard on these small ones. It's a brushed motor, so it's not like it's giving it a whole lot of crazy power. So, I just torque them hand tight and call it a day. This tire's a little hard to take off. I've got to pull it off camera quick so I can give it a good pull. Oh, let me set that off to the side so I don't knock that around. It's a controller over here. I don't need that on the mat. This cowl seat mount was provided by Mr. Tojo. I do appreciate that, dude, by the way. Again, since he's donated it to me, I probably give him how many shoutouts by saying his name every time I pull this mat out? Very thankful, man. It's nice. I do a lot of videos on my builds and my, maintenance of builds, but a lot of them don't come out right. I was recording on my phone, and a lot of times when I record on my phone, for some reason, the sound will be gone. So, I am now recording on a Samsung camera. Let's see if I can find a name on this one. It's a 23mm lens. The WB 350F is what the model of this camera is. Got it on sale. It's pretty cheap. We enjoy it. I think it does pretty well for it being just a camera. It's got a camcorder ability to it to record. It's not its main focus though. However, it does really well as a little camera for my YouTube videos. So no complaints here. Way to go, Samsung. I my Samsung electronics. Like my monitor on my computer is Samsung. Before I went to Samsung, I used to like ViewSonic. Still like ViewSonic, don't get me wrong. Alright, for monitors. I don't know about other things, but I'm happy with them. Well, anywho, I'm recording on Samsung right now, and I'm very happy with it. It is doing fantastic. You'll see what I'm doing here in a second. As I pull something off, I pull a tire off, I'm going to take the screw and put it back onto here. Now, I usually put my screws or nuts exactly where I took them off from once I remove a part, so that way I know when I'm going back to put it together where I got it from and how to put it back on. And as I took the front left tire off, I put it to the front left at the body over here. Took the front right tire off, put it on the front right of the tire. I took the back right tire off, I put it by the back right tire of the body. So I know which tire goes where. They, obviously, I want to put them on the same direction they were because these are chevron tires. They're pointing in one direction, so obviously they're meant to rotate in one direction. And usually the chevron digs, so the point of the chevron is usually pointing forward. It's normally what I see when I see the real trucks, so I assume you do the same thing for the RCs. So that's how I've been doing it. Though the, I don't think the rims are labeled for like front, rear, or right, left, or anything like that. If they are, I haven't found the label while cleaning and the rims. My last run, I didn't clean it. Since then, I need to clean them, but before I put it back together, I'll probably run some, take Jane's Ideal and throw some, Simple Green on there. Scrub up nice and clean before I put them on. That way everything's nice and neat and clean. Alright. I am pretty sure that my issues are in the rear diff. I don't want to do a complete teardown unless I have to. But if I can find the problem with a little bit of a teardown, I'll, fix what I have to and carry on. Alright. The battery I took off. It's a good battery I got right here close by. If I don't have to take the electronics apart and I find something like a pebble or something down here that I take out, I'll connect it, run it real quick, see what happens. If that gets rid of the sound and rid of my issue, we'll put everything right back the way it is. And I won't do, I won't tear it down further than that. But, I think it's the diff. I do not know. It's pure assumption. Now, looking at this, I don't know if I took the two screws off here and the two screws off here, if this little part up here will come off or not. We're going to find out. So, my first screws is coming off of there. Like I said, I wish I had a video to follow of somebody else's doing this, but I can't find it anywhere. It's a rather longer screw than I thought it was going to be. I'm hoping to get access to this drive shaft in here. Oh, I could take this, well, no, I don't want to take that off. Let's leave that on if I can. Just leave it aside. I took a Traxxas antenna tube. I did Dark Ecliptic Cart's idea of putting a lighter here, just kind of rubbing back and forth until it was warm enough, and kept bending it so it would bend. That way I can get the antenna to stay underneath the truck, since there was no hole for the antenna to go straight up the top. And it was in here just hanging loose. I didn't want it hanging loose where it would get broken. So the antenna tube in here kind of runs it back through the middle of the shock tower. So then we're protected. And less chance of getting caught up in something. I may show this as a boring long video of me talking. Or I might cut a lot of this out. If I do cut a lot of this out, my subject that I'm speaking about will probably jump and be really weird. Because I'll be continuing a subject of something that I was talking about, and if I cut that part of the video out, because it's a boring part of removing screws, you'll miss part of the conversation. So that could be kind of funny. So if I might do that on purpose. You'll think, man, that guy's really random. And really, the whole time you're missing about, a half an hour of the conversation. That would be kind of funny. I do tend to jump topic a lot. Alright. Measure these screws, the front screw and the back screw, to see if they're both the same size. If they are, I'm going to leave them in the same little... Yeah, they are. They're the same size screw, so I'm going to put them both in that first little catch tray of screws. And all the screws of that size I'll put there. The next screw will come up a different size, will go here, and so on and so on. Alright. Well, hi diddly dee. First issue I'm running into... It seems like this upper chassis is all one long piece. Oh, what fun. I am so happy. Hooray, yahoo. Alright. Let me try my 1.5 millimeter. Oh, perfect. Also, you guys can see what screw I'm going to next. This is the hex adapter I'm using, my MIP. Let's see if I get that to focus right. Focus. Focus. There you go. 1.5. I'm going to try just to remove the top part of the shock tower, or the shock, from its shock tower. Because it looks like the shock tower is not a separate piece. It looks like the top part of the diff, and this top plate of the chassis, and the back part of the diff, and this back shock tower is all one big long piece, is what it looks like. Looks like. Doesn't mean I'm right. I've been wrong many, many times before. But my assumption is that's what it is. Oh, I like this part. They got a little washer there that's not sliding off and on onto that screw. It looks like the screw head is the pillow ball inside the shock. And that doesn't look like it's a washer. It looks like it's just another, yeah, it's just a part of the screw built on. Oh, nice. So I can just leave that screw on the shock and it's not going to fall off. Brilliant. That is actually really smart design. For how small this thing is, it's understandable. Like, I'm disappointed the fact that it's a transmitter receiver combo, but I have to admit, in a way, I understand the design. It's kind of brilliant. It's not what you want as a consumer. I mean, if you want to replace one piece, you want to replace one piece. You don't want to replace it all. But for making everything fit, it works, so I can't really complain. So, if that makes sense or not. I'm going to assume I'm going to have to move these two back screws right here. And the two front screws up there. These look like they're holding the motor mount down. And I can't tell, but it looks like there's a breaker in here. So it looks like the motor mount is a separate piece. But it looks like this screw right here might have to come off. So it looks like I got 5 more screws to disattach. Let's get those screws off. And this part of the video, what I'm going to do is remove these 2 screws and these 2 screws. And I'll probably cut that part of the video out. In case I don't screw this out, what I just did is by spinning this, the chassis wanted to spin. Like, whoop, whoop. So what I did is let the shock tower hit up to this back lip back here. This foam lip. So as I'm screwing it, it holds it in place for me. That way, as I spin the screwdriver like this with this hand, when this hand lets go to go over here to spin it more, this hand is screwing it. So I'm like spinning it, then this hand starts to spin it as this hand goes, then this hand goes. So there's a continuous spin on the screwdriver. Alright. Size my screws up. And they're the same. You know, I will include this part in the video. Why not? Talk to you about some other subjects as I'm taking these screws off. Wife wants to do an RC event. She's part of a function, I guess you call it, or a I don't know what the word for this is. Or a bunch of moms with, you know, get together with their children and find events to do. This weekend we went kite flying at the park. She wants me to sponsor a RC event. Originally she's like, hey, we could just take your RCs out there and let these kids play with your RCs out there in the park. And I thought to myself for a second, if I let these kids play with my, you know, VXL systems and start slamming into each other and hurting each other, and these moms get mad at us, give us lawsuits, that doesn't seem like the brilliant idea, the best idea to go with. So I had to tell her that I either had to meet each kid so I can tell her, you know, their level of you know, how, I guess you say how they would be handling it each, like take them out one by one and see how they handle them. Or at least talk with the parents each one by one to see which ones might want to sue us or might not, to prepare us. That's what I was thinking. She was really bent. She really wants me to do this. I'm like, okay, so I got to come up with an idea how to make this work. You know, happy wife, happy life. So clearly I had to give her an answer then, so my answer was no, and I hate to tell my wife no on things, but, you know, sometimes you got to make a decision that you think, you know, we have to protect the family. And that was that decision. So I come to thinking, you know what, talk to her some more about it, so she's understanding why I was saying no now. I had the brilliant idea. What if we went to Walmart and bought a bunch of the $15 or $25 RCs, like 10 of them, and let the kids run those? It's like, that's not a bad idea. Though that adds up. 10 $25 RCs is $250. But then again, what if more than 10 kids showed up and we wouldn't have had enough? So going back and forth, how we could possibly make that happen. If you guys got some ideas, let me know. Thought about calling like maybe either Debbie's RC World or Hobbytown USA in the area and see if they'd be willing to let us borrow some RCs for an event that they could have there, one of their shops or whatever. And, you know, that way that shop can advertise to the moms with kids, and the kids can play with the RC and get to know if they want to buy them. You know, set a budget of what RC they're going to borrow. So that way the kids can get the same RC and be able to play with each other in the future. Or if I buy them, they would stay here, I would keep them clean, keep them maintained, and then, you know, if they break, I would be the one to fix them and all that. That way, whenever the kids come together, I would just bring them and have them available for them. So that might work too. So I don't know, just different thoughts. I'd like your guys' thoughts and comments on there. All right, now I'm unscrewing the links from this. I seen the links are all attached to this bar too, so whew, a lot of screws. But anywho, I'd like to get your guys' feedbacks and thoughts. Pros, cons. We had an idea of like buying a gift card to Hobbytown USA and using it as a raffle, and enter the raffle you had to buy one of the RCs and send it. And that sounded like a good idea. And that might be another route to go, baby. I don't know. Could be a good idea, could be a bad idea. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be willing to buy a $15 RC, mail it to us for a chance to win like $200 or something. That might work. But then again, if we do that and we don't make at least 10 RCs, we'd really be shooting ourselves in the foot. So whatever we're short, we'd still have to go buy. That wouldn't help out as much as we need. We could just take money and save it up to go buy them ourselves. You know, $10, $15 RCs is $150. Blow. So that might be the way to go. But then again, if more than 10 kids show up, we wouldn't have enough RCs for every kid. Sorry about that. Apparently my camera only records so long and then it cuts. So it turned off on me, so I'm not part of what kind of conversation you left out on. But it's talking about RC thing my wife wants me to sponsor. Or us to sponsor. For some kids in this group she's in. So these moms can get together and We've already got a bunch of kites for them. We went and bought like 30 kites, so whenever we do kite events, the kids each get a kite, and they can take the kites home and bring them with them to the next event. So I think like 10 kids showed up the last one. So we're probably average 10 kids per event. But, you know, we want to be prepared for more. She wants me to do an RC event. So, just trying to get some ideas on what you guys think is a good idea, bad idea, pros, cons. You know, brainstorm with me. What are the greatest things that I love about our YouTube community that isn't taken advantage of us as much as it should be, is our ability to brainstorm. Talk to each other. And say, hey, this is a good idea. Oh, by the way, this sounds good, but this would probably get you in a lot of trouble here and here. Oh, yeah, you know, and rules you don't think about and whatnot. So it's always good to talk to the community. That's what the community is about. Forums and all that. They're there to help each other. We want to see everybody in our RC community grow successful. We probably all share the same goal of wanting to pull new people into the hobby. So events like this, like for the kids, that's a great way to get them into the hobby. Alright, after I got that last screw, there was another screw hidden down in here. Pop that out. Whammo! We're in. So I am taking a look-see at this. This is where the sound looked like it was coming from. Like I said, it could have been a chance that, oh yeah, I can't pull this out without pulling the motor out. Between that motor and this diff, well, I can move the diff out. Let's inspect those teeth. I'm going to shine a light up on there. Look at those teeth. I do not see any debris on this side of the teeth. Things look clean. Now I'm going to visually inspect down inside the chassis. Actually, I'll get down there and look. Get my light, my little Dollar Tree light here, shine it up in there. I do not see any pebbles down in there. Hootenanny. I was hoping that's what I would find, and that would have been the issue solved, resolved, and done. But that is not the case here. Bummer. I don't remember which way this differential was on there. So, you know, when I'm done, I'll have to stop the video, go back and play it back and see which way that was facing. But I think both were facing this way. I know the front one is definitely facing to the left here. So, yeah, my left. Or the RC's its left itself. Alright, put that over here, put that on this side. See if it's this one. What I'm doing here is I'm looking at this angle right here so I can see the tooth come up and down. And then I change my view and kind of the pan overhead to see if there's any part of the top of the heart of the tooth chipped off. Or also looking between the teeth to see if I see any debris that I need to clean out. Which that looked clean. That looks like a good to go. And now, same thing here. I'm going to look down inside that diff housing, see if I see any debris. It looks clean. Alright. Now I'm going to move that shaft. Those teeth are clean. Same thing here. I'm going to bring this up to the light. You're not seeing on this side of the teeth that I'm looking at, but I'll try to angle it to where you can look at it too. These are some big teeth, so that would be kind of easy to see. Oh, wait a minute. Take my X-Acto knife here. There's something dark right here. Looks like it sticks in here. It's a good hard stick too. Alright, that could have been my problem. All the other teeth look really clean here. So it's not a bad idea to take an eyeball in here and... Alright, now I'm also trying to look down inside there as best I can with my eyeball. I don't want to take things apart if I don't have to. Now I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like the motor itself is stuttering on it returning. There is a hole right here in the motor. So I'm just trying the light in there and look as I'm spinning it to see if I see anything in there, like a rock or something. I can see the coils in there, the turns of the copper wire in there. Alright. Now that I have it like this, I'm going to do what I was talking about earlier. First thing before I go any further, always, when I pull one of these out, I always put them right back when I'm done. Not when I'm done with the entire project, but as soon as I'm done with that one tool. If it's a sharp tool, I put it back directly right away. That way I don't chance, as I'm putting something down, or if I drop something, I go to quick, my hand fast down to pick something up. I don't slice myself. I try not to hurt myself. I'm so weird. I don't like to hurt myself. What is wrong with me, man? Why would I not want to hurt myself? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I like to be safe where I can. I'm not perfect. I will make mistakes. That's one thing I can guarantee you. I will make mistakes. I promise you. Now that clicking sound is gone. So I can promise you, I fully 100% believe that was the culprit, that little stick inside that tooth. Sweet. So it didn't break. But I see these are plastic teeth. If I go brushless, I'm going to probably pull these out and see if I can't find metal teeth. I do not know if the brushless version has plastic gears or metal gears. I don't know. I don't see a video of anybody pulling this apart. But this little diff looks a lot like the two-wheel drive diff housing that's in the back of the Traxxas. My Traxxas RCs. It looks a lot like it. I mean, not identical, obviously. It's smaller, but I can see some similarities between the two. Instead of it going to an idler gear and whatever off, the drive shafts are coming straight off of the diff housing. So cool. Ooh, that comes right in and out. That slides in and out. Okay. Sweet. And then there's the drivetrain. Right there. So, if I'm going to put this back together, before I put it back together, at least I can show you guys a good look at what it looks like in here. Now, yeah, let me put that back there. So you guys can see the drivetrain again. I think I did this a second ago. That's where it connects to the pinion, and I guess that's going to consider the spur. That's the plastic drive shaft right there. That was freely spinning with no restriction on it. So, didn't hear any clicking there. So now I know if I put these back in and get them running, if I hear a click again, I'll know it was inside the diff housing. Spinning them real quick to see if I hear anything. I don't feel any bumpy in. I don't feel like, like click, 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 click. It feels pretty smooth. Same thing here. Let's see. Actually, I do feel a little bit more grit. It feels like there's some grit in here in this one. But it felt like the sound was coming from the rear, not the front. So I'll run it a little bit. If I were here and hear it again, I'll start looking at tearing these diffs apart. But if I don't have to tear them apart because they're so small, I'd rather not. That grease is coming off pretty simple. This RC is not waterproof, so going straight from the ring grease seems a little overkill. But I will probably go get some white lithium grease to put on here. Real quick. Nah, there's enough grease on here. I'm probably fine. Let me try it just like this. If it's a problem, I'll get some white lithium grease next time. I think it'll be fine, because it's just a brush setup. It's not like extremely powerful brush system. But I did enjoy this little RC for the last couple nights that I was running it. A lot more than I thought I was going to. Oh, here's something else you could do. I don't know if you could see in the video. I'm putting the drive shaft behind the, I don't know what you call that part right there. I don't know. But I'm putting it, I'm spinning it. Spins freely. Cool. That's what I want to know. Does it spin freely, or am I getting some kind of resistance or some kind of clutter, or does it feel dirty? Does it feel like it's going, skipping? Do I need to clean it is what I'm looking to see while I've got it apart. I'm going to do that at all four ends. That sends the spin pretty freely there. So I feel confident I can just toss that arm back into that one. That one spins freely. That one's clean enough. So for those of you who have these, now you've got to see somebody tear, at least get into the drivetrain and the differentials. Didn't take the differential apart unless I have to. But if you got one and you do need me to tear the differential apart, if that's something you're wanting to do, I will gladly do that on a video for you later on. Because I am going to eventually tear them off and replace that grease. I'm going to put a thicker grease in there, and I thought about locking these diffs. But probably not on this one. I thought about getting another one and making it more of a crawler, or like a trailer kind of type deal, like my axial. And, you know, lock diffs and all that, going real slow, getting a lower motor. It's got more torque. And making a miniature crawler out of one of these. I think that would be a lot of fun. Alright. Now I'm looking at the top part of these diffs to see if I see any rocks or debris that needs to come out of any of these. All I'm seeing is grease. Grease lightning. Go grease lightning, and you know that it's ready to go. Grease lightning. Oh yeah, I went there. Alright. You see right here? This has got a little extra screw bit right back here. Okay, that goes towards the rear. Right, that's what screws it onto the motor mount. You don't have that extra piece on any of these two. And the little wings up here that's sticking out, that goes over your steering links. So that's how you know which way to put this back on. Just in case you put it down in a way that you didn't know, like, oh man, I forget which way it goes. Now these long screws, one goes here. Again, I don't need to go super tight. The only small screw is this one. It has a washer with it. You can see. Goes right here and screws all this assembly to the motor mount. This isn't a great video. I need to find a way to get a camera that I can have on a swivel or a little arm reaching thing, so I can put it at that angle to show more what I'm doing to getting closer. That would be a better idea. Alright, now I'm going to put the screws in here, 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 and here. Then I think what I'll have to do next is the ones underneath. Oh, nope, there's still more on top. After I get the screw on top of it in there, I will show you what I mean. Alright, there is a screw hole here and here on that side of the diff housing. And then on this side of the diff housings are one here and here. And the same thing for the front. On top there is a screw here, hole there, a screw hole there, and then in front of it there's one here and there. I'll have to put all those back on. I'll go put those on now. Showed you where they're going. I'll just keep chit-chatting with you. Alright. Oh, by the way, Project Jules is doing really well. I don't have a diff or idle gear or nothing like that for it yet. So I know I still need gears, spur, pinions. Which I have some that I'll probably use one of the other ones for that I have sitting by. But I don't know if all those are for the 4-wheel drive slash or any of those are for the 2-wheel drive Traxxas vehicles. I don't know. I'll have to get into it and look. See what's interchangeable, what's not. But I definitely don't have the diff or idle gear or nothing like that. Somebody made a comment in one of my videos about a servo saver instead of the steering links. So that I'm going to have to go investigate. I'm going to ask myself, what did I do? Apparently I made a boo-boo on it. And these are not going in very well. I think I was wrong about these screw holes up here. Those screw holes don't screw them from the top, they screw them from the bottom. So let me correct myself after I get this next 2 screws on. I made a mistake. Oh no, I'm a blunderhead. I made a mistake. How dare me. Can you believe it? I'm a human being and I made a mistake? Is that allowed? I'll show you what I mean in a second. I just want to get these top screws in first. These screws are going through the top part of that top chassis. And then, you know, they'll hold it down to the bottom chassis. The other screws look like they go from underneath and going the opposite direction. So instead of going through the top chassis, they're going through the bottom chassis and screwing into the top chassis. Alright, that's these holes here that are beyond the tower, and on the front, between the bumper and the tower. Let me see if I can find a way to get light in there. That screw hole and that screw hole. Don't put the screws in there. They go in there. There's the 2 in the rear. And there's the 2 in the front. But oh, wait a minute. Something I should have done before I turned this upside down was secure the drive shaft so they don't fall apart and fall out. Now I know my shocks screwed in here. And that was with this 1.5. Everything else fit with that 1 screwdriver, the Phillips head, except for the shocks. The shocks need a hex head. Understandable. Which, I have no complaints about the shocks yet, so I haven't torn them apart yet. Haven't had a need to. This is, I will not say this is a toy grade. I will say this is a hobby grade RC all the way. In my opinion, I consider this hobby grade. Oil-filled shocks. I can go to the site and buy parts and interchange them and fix them up. So, oops, sorry. Not only can you buy parts to fix them up, there are actually hop-ups you could buy, aluminum hop-ups you could buy for these now. I've only seen 1 YouTube channel that had some of the gold hop-ups on here. 1. And it looked nice. Might be a way to go later on down the road for one of these. Alright. I think that is enough to hold... Nope, it's not enough to hold the drive shafts in. Bummer. I was so hoping that would have worked. Alright. So, hey, I'm learning. Like I said, I can't find any videos of anybody working on these 18 scale iron track vehicles. So, I've got to do it and put them up myself. So I myself will have the videos available to me later on. There will be more. And as I do more, I will get in closer with better shots and better angles. So, I will get better with this as time goes on. I have a camera I am waiting to get here. It's a miniature keychain camcorder. And I'm going to find a way to mount it to something like this. Where I'll cut the, this is a little light I got from Dollar Tree. I will cut this here and try to find a way to mount this so I can bring the camera at different angles and get it right up in there. Or to find a way to do that. I don't know how other people are accomplishing that for their close-up shots. I love watching Dark Clip Cart videos when he's working on his, because you can see exactly what he's doing. He gets right up in there close, and I always wondered how in the world he did that while he's working on them. That must be a very tedious process he's going through. So I make sure I try to, whenever I watch one of his videos, I exceeded the limit of this video again. Bummer. Keeps cutting off on me. It only records so long and it cuts. But anyways, there we go. The links are on there. Shocks are back on. The blah 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 drive shafts are back through. You can do the front the same way. This time I'm going to do the links first and then the shocks. That way the links can hold it in the drive shaft for me. So it'll be a little easier when I go do the shocks. I'm going in through the bumper. Yeah, that worked. That worked out real nice. Now I'm going to come from underneath, have it in there a little bit, finish screwing the rest of the way in. To get it started, I went through that little slot right there. I'll use that slot for that one and the slot right here for the other one. That's the slot just, not the center slot, but the one just to the side of it. To get access to that screw. Worked fine. I do not have the nice pillow balls, so I got to get creative in how I get into these little access areas. Or whatever, that's not a pillow ball, I forget what the term for that is. The hex drivers with the pillow heads on them. Or the ball heads, or whatever. I think they're called ball heads. I don't have those, so I can't go in an angle right off the bat. I gotta wait till it's threaded and then come in at an angle. So I'll try to use this straight in from the bumper. You know, to get a straight shot at it as long as I can. Then as I get it, some of it done, it starts to get out of reach. So when that happens and I can't screw it anymore, because you can only go so far back, and this bumper's in the way, we'll come down here, screw this way in. Bam. I know it's not going to be a really good video to watch as far as seeing these screws, because it's black screws on to a black plastic screwing into a black shock tower. It's hard to see. As far as I know, they do not make a stainless steel screw set for these yet. So if somebody's waiting to think of something an RC you could make, these are selling pretty good. And they do have a lot of people that have these particular RCs, the Mastadon itself. Jang from URC Network did his review video on it, and after that, all kinds of people jumped up and started doing review videos on it. Now it's everywhere, and a lot of people are having them now. I'm starting to see them out and about and around. So, if you make a screw set for these that people can buy, I'm pretty sure people will buy them. I don't know how to put a screw set together yet. Maybe that's something I can do. Ooh. Maybe I shouldn't air this video. Maybe I should just do that. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't know the first thing of how to do that. Now this screws on pretty fast. You see what I'm doing? The two screws are going to go up front here, and the other two are going to go back here. And that's what I'm doing now. This hand is probably in the way of you seeing me screw it in. But it's just tightening the bolt down. Well, when I first put it in, most of the bolt just slides down until you start getting to the point where it needs to bite. And you screw it the rest of the way. One of these days I'm going to get one of those small electric drill things that do this for me and let it do all the spinning and save my wrist the work. But this little stick, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's a hard one. A little bit, I don't even know if you can see that on camera. That's the culprit. That was causing the teeth to skip. At least I'm sure that's what it was. Once I get everything tightened back up, I'll run it with the diffs and see if the diffs are making sounds or not. But I didn't want to run it with the diffs while it was open, because if diffs are loose when they're tightened up to other gears and they can shake, rattle, and roll and move and bounce around, you can screw your teeth up. And I don't want to chance that. I actually like this RC. I don't want to tear it up. Now, I put some duct tape on the bottom of this chassis when I was running it. My main reasoning is, see these screws that are on the bottom? I always consider that a flaw on an RC. Some people won't, I do. Because as you're running, those are going to get scraped. And if it scrapes too far, you're not going to be able to get the screws off and on. That's bad. So I take duct tape and I just put a strip of duct tape right over top. And that usually, as the duct tape starts wearing off, I'll replace the duct tape, and that should save my screw heads at least a little bit of wear and tear. Okay, that is back together, believe it or not, except for the wheels and tires. And those will be really, really easy to put on. So before I go any further, I want to put a battery on. Goodness. There we go. But you can hear it already kicking in. There's no clicking. You can hear the motor going, you can hear things spinning, but you don't hear anything going click, 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 click. So that was it. Perfectly fixed the truck. Only did as much work as I needed to do on it. Before I take the battery apart, you want to turn the electronic off, then detach the battery. Because whenever you detach a battery with it connected, sometimes you can have a spark over, sometimes you can create a little static and spark, and electronics and sparks usually don't go very well together. Kind of the same scenario with electronics and water. Yeah. It's usually a bad idea. Maybe one of these days I'll take all this apart too, fill it all up with marine grease, all of it, and make this whole thing waterproof. And go do some puddle running with it. That'd be kind of fun. So there will be teardowns of this later on. While I get to more detail on my teardown. It's as I get more into this particular RC. But if I don't see too many people doing teardown videos of this one, I'm definitely going to be doing it. Somebody needs to. Alright. That's probably the first video you're going to find of somebody tearing the diffs apart on this. Or getting down to the diffs. I couldn't find anybody. I was looking. Because I didn't want to do this free on my first time. I was nervous about that. I was so scared I was going to get it, take it apart, and not be able to get it put back together again. But I did. As far as I know, it's going to work. Alright. Oh, we'll get this facing back to the proper way, to the front. This with the front right tire. Screw that nut off. Now, this is what I don't like about this RC. Probably one of my chief complaints. See, it looks like a letter D. The flat sides on this side. Oh, sorry. Alright. There is a flat side of this shaft. So whenever you put that tire on, you want to know where that flat side is. It's on this side. So I'm going to put that rim on. Getting that flat side lined up. And slide it on. Now, if you're not going to change the tires on this, that's fine. But if you plan on changing the tires in the future, that's a big pain in the rear. I don't like it. Now what people have found, going through the URC network, somebody said there's hex hub adapters. Like the ones we put on our slashes and stuff, the aluminum ones that you can put on here. Now, the thing with that, see if I can't find a plastic one that I can show you what you need to look out for. I haven't done this mod yet. I'm going to wait till I use these tires up first. But I do plan on doing it in the future. So I've done my homework ahead of time. And believe it or not, I am having a problem finding a hex. Bummer.
It seemed I have run into a problemo.
Oh well. Let me find a bolt. And I'll show you the top of a bolt. It's hex shaped. What I'm talking about. The hex hub adapter, for those you don't know, is an adapter that you put on here. Okay? It'll be hexed by either 12mm for your regular standard Traxxas vehicles. Some of them get changed it off to be 17mm for a bigger tire. But, you know, 12mm is your standard, what a lot of our 16 scales and our 18 scales and 10 scale RCs are running off of. I don't think you really get much into the 17mm until you get like to 5th scale and 8th scale. I could be wrong in there. If I am wrong, feel free to correct me. Alright, the hexes, they'll look kind of like this. They won't have a nut attached to it though, but it'll have a hole in the center. But yeah. Well, ones you want to stay away from for this. There's a grub screw. If the grub screw goes in and find something thin enough. Here, this razor should do just fine. Alright. Here we go. If the grub screw goes in and across like this on the bottom, that's not going to help you with this application. What you want to do is get the one where the grub screw goes in and towards the center, like that. So the flat side of this shaft is where that grub screw attaches to. And that's what people are doing to get the 12mm adapters on here to get better tires and rims on here. If that makes sense. That's the best I can describe it. But for a lot of people, that they're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Some, I don't know how to explain it better than that. I really don't. I'm not that smart. That is the best I can do with my limited brain here. But that's what a lot of people are doing. They're looking for those and putting them on here. And you want the thinner ones, like a 4mm or something like that. I know for the Slash, the two-wheel drives, and I believe the Rustlers and all that, they have the front and back are different sizes. I'm not sure which one's the thicker hex hub and which one's a thinner one. But you want them to be... Now, first I was talking about the size of the head, between being 12mm or, you know, or some are 17mm for bigger tires, some are 12mm. Now we're not talking about the size of the head itself, like, you know, the size of the hexagon right there. Now I'm talking about the thickness, how thick that wall is, okay? You really don't want to get into the 7mm thickness. You want to get like 4 or under. Maybe 5s might work, I don't know. I haven't got directly down into it yet. But what you want to do when you put it on here, if you can see that little shaft right here, find a way I can shine some light on this. Alright, you see where the ring stops and then the threads begin? You want to get it past that part, so you want it thick enough to do that, because if it only comes halfway, you might cause some problems. So you want your hex to at least come out to there. So that way you're putting some bite onto your threaded nut when you're putting it on. If you want to add different tires and all that. But I'm putting these back on, so all I have to do, for me, I find the flat part, face it to the rear. I find the flat part on here, face it to the rear. Then I marry the two together and snap it in. There we go. Now, someday down the road, probably years from now, because these tires have seemed to, for most people that I'm watching videos on, these tires seem to last people years, and they don't seem to be wearing them out very quickly. So I would imagine, for how I run it, I'm probably not going to run out either. But I have won some HPI tires somewhere around here. Actually, they're on my shelf. I know exactly where they are. And I will probably throw those on here next and get some street tires on it. That'd be kind of fun. Make this more of a street truck instead of a monster truck. Give it a little bit different style for a little while. Now again, I'm going to spin that flat side to the rear. This is the front bumper, so I need the front tire. Find that little flat part on the tire. Put that towards facing the rear. Line it up. Marry the two together. I say marry together because you got to work it on. It doesn't just slide on real easy. And marriage takes work for anybody who's been married a long time. So that's why I say marry together. It just doesn't go easy. It takes a little bit of work there. Most of the time, things that are worthwhile are not easy. However, when you get to the, put the hex hub adapters on there, 12mm, you get some regular rims on there, that hex hub is so much easier to work with. Because you just gotta, you know, it'll kind of help it line itself up. When all you got is that one flat side and it's got to line up perfect, it's a little bit more of a pain. It's a little bit more work. So I don't like that part. But I think I paid $75 for this RC shipped to my house. Plus shipping. I don't know if I paid for shipping or not. I don't remember that. Honestly, don't know. But I can't complain, man. This is a nice little RC for its price tag. You know, some people are going, $75 for a little thing like that? What? When you get the hobby grades, usually they're a little more expensive than your toy grade RCs. For reasons, though. Toy grade RC, when some part breaks on it, you throw it away most of the time. With a hobby grade, if something breaks on this, I'm going to go buy the part online. I'll go to my hobby shop, buy a part, and throw it on there, and keep playing with it. Alright. Oh, I stifled my nose. I'm so sorry. Trying so hard not to stiffen my nose. I found out that as soon as I start shooting a video and I start talking, I start to stifle. I don't know. Maybe it's a nervous twitch of mine that I need to work on. I am aware of it. I am working on it. I'm trying not to. You can tell a lot of my videos. I used to do a lot of my videos. It's calmed down. It's not completely gone, but I'm getting better at controlling that little nervous twitch. Like right now, my nose is itching me. I don't want to sniffle again. It's this nervous little twitch thing. Alright. By the way, one thing I was trying out didn't work as well as I thought it would. This, I put a piece of glow-in-the-dark tape back here so I could tell when it's facing away from me. That doesn't help. What I need to know is when it's facing towards me, I need to see two white lights or two lights right here. Look, yeah, I can see both lights. So I know it's facing me, so I'm bringing it to me. That's very important when I'm running it out in the dark. And I only run my RCs lately when my kids are asleep now lately. So it's usually at night when I'm running them. If they're awake during the day, I want to make sure I'm 100% available to them. So I normally don't run them in the daytime anymore. Which is why you don't see a lot of run videos from me. It's kind of hard to record them in the dark. Even with the street light out there. Our street lights are pretty weak. But then again, when you're sleeping at night, at least I don't have this bright street light shining in my room window driving me nuts. So I kind of appreciate the fact they're weak. I'm thankful for it. I'm not complaining. So, anywho, I've seen people do it. So I know it's possible to do it. I don't want to buy one of the expensive kits because I don't want a bunch of lights on this thing. I would simply like 2 3mm red lights here. You know, one here. Sorry, one here. And one there. And then 2 white 3mm headlights. Or maybe blue. So that way it's not bright white, it's just a subtle blue. Either one, it wouldn't matter if it's blue or white. You know, 3mm, you know, here and here. Just so I can see which way it's facing as I'm running it at night. That's all I need the lights for. That would be very, very nice upgrade for this little body. I've tried it before. I've bought kits to do them for my daughter's rustler and for my axial. So the kits work nicely. But when it comes to me soldering, what happens is I try to hold the wires together or trying to hold the solder, I shake. I end up knocking the solder to fall onto the table, fall on my lap, or whatever have you. Or sometimes I shake so much I end up, you know, bringing it across and marking myself or burning myself. I don't like the solder if I can get away with not soldering. So I gotta find a way to make that work and get little kits. I bought one off the line that had a bunch of lights with it, but they all have to be soldered. I was like, oh man. I mean, glad they come pre-tinned, but then again, I gotta hold that soldering gun, and I shake. When I'm trying to do something that's small like that, I tend to shake sometimes. Or most of the time, almost every time I'm soldering, I shake. I don't know why. But it just is what it is. Alright. But for bang, pound for pound, for as small as the RC this is a ton of fun. And you're talking to somebody, I have a 4-wheel drive slash, 2-wheel drive slash, I have a Bandit, a Rustler, 4-wheel drive Stampede, got an Axial SCX-10, I have a Torment, an SCX Torment, or sorry, ECX Torment, I have an ECX Ruckus and ECX Boosts. Sorry about that, I matched the limit of the video again and it cut off on me. But I've had a large array of different RCs that I've played with. Not as large and extensive as some people, for sure, I mean, by no means. But as far as a beginner into this hobby, I've actually had my hands on a lot of different RCs. For the size of this, I am still enjoying this one. So, I will say to Iron Track, thank you for putting this out. Somebody said, I think it was off another one of the Jing videos, talk about it's a Himoto or something like that, and rebranded or something or other. I'm not sure how it goes, or whoever put this out. Thank you, I appreciate them. I'm enjoying the Mastadon. The only one I didn't like was I was excited to get it. It's what I bought for myself, was a short course truck, because I love the short course trucks. But that body just looked weird. It didn't fit right. But the monster truck body looks a lot better. So does the buggy and the other one. What I would love to get next is what the new one they've added to their 18 scale line is the desert buggy one. That looks awesome. I don't know if I could buy the desert buggy body and put it on here, because it's a more of it's like a roll bar cage, and there's different things that snap in, and I'm not sure how that one goes on. It doesn't look like it's just a Lexan body, flop in and out. So I would imagine this shot towers might be different. I don't know. So if anybody has that one, please let me know. If I could just buy the body and slap it on here, I'm buying that body, because that desert truckie looks sweet. Looks like a miniature version of the Axial Exoterra buggy thing. It's what it looks like. It looks awesome. I would love to have that look. It just looks sweet. If I don't eventually get that one, what I might end up getting later on down the road is the Tachyons. I think it's a 14th scale you can also get from NitroRCX.com. They have a desert buggy one also. It looks like it. That looks a lot like an Exoterra buggy. I know when for my birthday present, my mom bought the Axial. When we were getting that one, I was going to kind of push for the Exoterra buggy instead, but I talked to Axial on the phone and found out that they're discontinuing that one. And I don't want to get an RC that's being discontinued. I'd rather have one that is going to be, there still. I'll be afraid the parts would eventually run out if they do that. But I know that I can't go to my hobby store and buy the parts. I know I have to go to Nitro or CX.com or eBay or Google search the part and have it mailed to me, so I'd have to wait for parts if something broke. The reason why I'm not afraid of that is I watched Jang's video where he threw this thing and he beat on it and it wasn't breaking. I've watched so many videos of everybody that's ran these, and nobody's complaining about part support because they simply are not having to buy parts for them. They're not tearing up. I got the brushed version, which means I'm not even brushless. I'm not even going that fast. For the speed that I'm going, I'm probably not, the way I drive it, I'm probably not going to break anything. So I'm probably not going to have to replace the parts. So for that reason, I'm not worried for me on the part support. What I'll probably do is every now and then I'll search, I do anyways, I'll search eBay. If I find one where somebody's killed the electronics on it and I could buy the truck cheap, I'm going to buy those and have the parts sitting to the side and just buy them for parts for, in case I ever need it. But, yeah, I'm happy with the truck. I've got no gripes, complaints, except for those the D thing on there. I don't know of any replacement axles that I can get that'll fit in here. I do know that I can get the hex hub adapters on there, like the SCRT or SRT or... Oh man, I know the name, I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But it's the one I have on my Traxxas / two-wheel drive. I know those will work on here. They're the thinner ones, whichever the front and back, whichever I need 2 of those. So I will eventually get something on here, like 4mm ones, so I can change, they're 4mm thick and as wide as the 12mm adapter part, so they would go to the 12mm rims, but, only so wide, so they're not so thick, because if they're too thick, you go beyond that bolt, and you won't be able to put them on. And that won't help either. So, you can only go so thick there. So eventually I'll get this for this, and I'll get some new tires on here, give it some different looks, kind of morph it and change it. It is 4-wheel drive, as you see we took it apart a minute ago, and that's pretty cool for the price range. But alright guys, I'm going to cut this video off, because if you keep letting me, I'm going to keep talking and blabbing on and on and on. Alright guys, have a great night. I'm a knucklehead. How you guys doing today? Let me show you something. Took this outside to test drive it, and I found another problem. And I already know what I did. Somebody else did this also, not too long ago, one of their videos. So that's how I know what I did. I was able to identify it really quick. Turn that on. There we go. I'm going to pull forward. I'm going to go backwards. You're spinning it the opposite direction. The front tires If I pull forward, they want to go forward. If I push backward, they want to go backwards. Back tires are reversed. What happened here is that diff in there, I put it in the wrong way. So I'll have to take this back apart and put the back diff and flip it the opposite direction. I'm not going to do that tonight, but probably the next couple days I'll do that. So I'll leave it out here on the work mat. I've already took my channel board down and everything, and I was cleaning up and just went outside to try it real quick before it starts raining too hard, because this is not waterproof. Probably maybe a little bit of splash resistant, maybe, I don't know. So I had to be careful out there. So I wanted to hurry up and run it a little bit, before it started raining too hard. You see, I got a little bit of drops on the body, but there's no water in here in the chassis at all. So, oh well, more fun. Figured you guys want to laugh at me. I boo-booed. Alright guys, have a great day.